Halito, Kayuk, Wangapo. Welcome everyone. Um, hello. Um, well, I'm back and we've got some things to cover. I kind of I've been motivated to speak to this. Let me kind of I've been motivated to speak to this because we talk about, religion, organized religion, and how problematic it has been for many people, but especially the indigenous people of the world. And I can say world, not just America, but the whole world has been critically damaged by organized religion across the planet, used to divide and conquer us. But what I'm really looking to address today is spirituality, right? Spirituality and just the word craft of words, the power of words, and what does that mean to us? What does that mean to you? Or what should it mean? Or what should it not mean? However you want to look at it. But so looking at, wordsmithery and words. And what is that? What is that? What is that? And what is it to you? What is it to us? So I started out by, making this post where okay, let's start off with I have a lot of curiosities. One of my curiosities is spirituality and our indigenous practices, and also some of our biblical practices. And I find theology a fascinating topic personally. But what I found extremely curious was just looking at our language and finding out that as Powhatans, and to be honest, most of us speak Algonquin, because mostly the Iroquois up towards Canada, mostly like very north, right? But anyway, the Algonquin language is interpreted as Powhatan, or actually Accomack Powhatan language. And in that vocabulary that was both translated so-called translated by Smith and by Strachey. There is no word for pray. There's a word for God, but not for pray. And I thought that was so curious. And I kept like looking and looking and looking and looking and looking. And then I started to understand it, right? Let me see what's going on. Okay. Because the words, we have to be mindful of the words that bind us, because words that seem innocuous, that seem harmless, can really bind us. They can unknowing for us. No, some people know what they're doing by pushing these words, but we can become subject to these words unknowingly, because these words can actually bind us, like literally, right? Like you're doing the opposite of what you're saying and asking for the opposite of what you want, literally, right? Well, Mike Dollar, there's everybody, there's a lot of controversy and confusion, but that's on purpose. A lot of the controversy and confusion is being, this coming about these days is on purpose. Like they're trying to redirect, misdirect. They always do that because it's our job to keep our eyes focused squarely on the truth. And in particular, our particular truth. Like that's what we should be focused on. Not any kind of deviation, not a substitute, not a new name, not a new alternate identity, but go to the root of who you are. That's what we should be all doing. Going to the root of who we are and the root of what's ours. That's how we should be. Nothing should deter us from that. Nothing. But the words that bind us, these lies, they bind us. I'm going to come back to that. But what I wanted to say is there's no Akamaic word for prayer, for pray, right? But there is a word for thanks, kina. And there is a word for God and spirit, ahon, God, right? So thank ahon. Almost like ahon, it's almost like amen, but kind of like, I don't know. Maybe not, whatever. But there is a word for thanks. And I want y'all to really now this is where it gets interesting, right? Okay. So imagine being taught the right thing to do when it's actually the wrong thing, right? So when you say pray, the defined verb of it, to pray, is to ask earnestly or politely. Beg. I don't know how that hits y'all, but beg. Beg God, who loves you and provides all you need and desire and gives you the ability to manifest everything you need. You have to beg? Does that coincide? See, those two things are completely opposite. Begging and having an all-powerful, almighty Father or Mother or Holy Spirit or Great Spirit that you have the ability to manifest whatever you desire. See, where we came from was not from a begging place. Y'all, I want you to feel this, because when it clicks in, it's gonna give you a certain energy. Where we come from, who we are, is not a begging place. It's not it's literally not in our vocabulary. Begging is not in our vocabulary. There ain't no need to beg. Okay? In law, when you write your legal briefs, as I just delivered some more, in law, the language in law says, or proper, so-called proper way of delivering a complaint, it says that you should pray. At the end, you pray for relief from the court or from the judge. You beg the judge. You beg the court. You begging. They want to keep us begging. Now look. But that's not in our vocabulary, y'all. So you see how we're going against our soul and spirits? You see how we're going against our own nature? They have us going against our nature. You see what I'm saying? Have you felt the tingle in your head yet? Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. The word that we do have is kina. Thanks. When you realize you don't have a word for prayer, you don't have a word for beg, you have a word for thanks. And let's check this. Let's get this. Thanks. What thanks says to your entire being is that it's already done. Check. You don't have to ask. You got it. Thanks implies, I know I got it. Thanks implies you are confidently moving in this planet and you don't have to worry, fret, or beg. Thanks implies it is done. It is already done. We come from an already done, confident people. That's right. We come from a place and a spirit and a inner knowledge of abundance, knowing that whatever we desire, we have the power to manifest it. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Because the words that they have us using are not in our vocabulary. The words that they have us using are not in our vocabulary. Pray? No, you ain't got to beg. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you is faith. Thank you is confidence. Thanks is like, it's got it. I got it. That's what thanks is. But that's what comes from the power of knowing your true identity. Not somebody else's identity, not some other religious faction's identity, but the words of your own people. Because there is no word for pray, beg, and Powhatan Algonquin. There's no word for that because there is no state for that, because there is no need for that. And you have to think about what you are agreeing and what you are becoming when you take on an identity that you cannot track by your ancestry, by your bloodline. There's no reality in that. Hey, y'all in the chat. But there's no reality in claiming something that you cannot actually link to the blood. That's not real. And when you actually realize that in your real language, there's a reason why certain words don't exist. Because there's no need for it. Because in your life, you in your life, in the way you live, and the way we walk the planet is with a manifestation of abundance and a confidence that there is no lack, and a confidence that you're filled with thanks, which is probably the only thing that some of those new age people, Oprah, whoever, gave is just the secret, just manifestation. But the reality is, when you're already thankful, and not even gratitude's not really the right word. That's a misnomer too. When you already feel the thanks and you're using words like thanks, it will turn something else on inside of you. And when you use the words of your people, Kena, it's going to do something to the energy inside of you. It's going to reset. It's going to make you ready to receive, because you anticipate receiving instead of pleading and begging for something that you obviously don't have confidence in, or else you wouldn't be pleading and begging, right? It already puts you at a disadvantage. This whole pray, beg, it already has the energy of rejection, fear, doubt, right? And we should be coming from a different place. We should be coming from that focus of confidence, manifestation, and already seeing it, already feeling it, already experiencing it in advance. That's what we should be feeling. That's how we should be moving in the world. That's what you learn when you look at these words. I wanted to get back to the way words are used against us. We have to understand that, a lot of people say, be careful. To me, it's particularly, be careful. Be safe. Oh, there's some dirty demons. Oh, yeah, I know. But we have to understand what's happening right now. Their weapons, which would be like swords, right? Swords are weapons. Their weapons are stuck in stone. And I don't know, like there's a story of, King Arthur, and I don't know if everybody's familiar with that or not, but the story of King Arthur, and the sword was Excalibur, maybe not, but anyway, this sword was stuck in stone, and the person that should be king would be the one who could remove the sword from the stone. But when I think of it, I think of the fact that you can have all the weapons and you want. You can have all, they can have every weapon possible, imaginable. But if your weapon is stuck in stone, it's not a weapon. You can't use it. And that's the way the planet is now. They have all these weapons. They have all the, the legal systems at their disposal. They have all these judges that are, all in their pocket, and all these attorneys that are doing all kinds of demonic things. They have all these police officers that are out here committing crimes, but their swords are stuck in stone. So as much as they act like they have it going on, and they act like they're so scary, and they can do all this stuff, and they try to make you think, well, we can get you. Try as they might, they can't get that sword out the stone, because it's not their time to reign. You feel me? It's not their time to reign. They can't get that sword out. They have the weapon, but they can't use it. And it's if it ain't making them crazy yet, it's they're on the edge of it. Like, seriously, like, they're on the edge of losing it. Because all this time they've been able to just take off heads, do what they want to the indigenous people, and nobody's stopping them. They're just taking everything, yeah, it's ours, winning. So they thought. But what a devastation, right? To do all these horrific things, to steal, to lie, to unalive, to molest, to lynch, only to lose it, to lose everything that you gained so quickly. And let me tell you, the way that the Negroes and indigenous people in general, like around the planet, I think, the way folks are awakening, this is going to be very rapid, and it's going to be very dramatic. And I don't think the oligarchies and these world powers actually have a clue exactly how fast things are changing. I don't think they actually get it. As much as they monitor our social media and conversations, I don't think they realize that for us, it doesn't take much. Because basically, once mama knows, it's done. Once mama knows the truth, it's done. And mamas and grandmamas are figuring it out. And it's a problem. People are starting to think about things like, I was, making copies for, court today, to file into court today. And, they were, I've been doing this for some years now. And, they know, because I've been copying there periodically or mailing things off. And they were asking, the ladies were asking in the FedEx about it. And they were just like bringing up the fact that people are having had their land stolen for like this beltway project of making walkways and around the city and stuff. Negro people, Negro Indians, the indigenous people had their land robbed from them to create these so-called green spaces. I don't watch the news, so I don't know anything. I don't watch the news. So I accidentally hear about some things, but for the most part, like I said, I don't watch the news, but they're news watchers. Like, it's on inside, the FedEx. So I'm like, oh, And they were like really fired up about it. And they knew some of the people that it had happened to. And I was like, well, we need to get together then. Like we need to get together because first of all, the fact that we are, getting our homes taken, that's heirs property, that is Indian property. Like let's be real about the words. They use all these disguises. Freedmen. It's an Indian. Heirs property. That's Indian property. Okay? We never get down to what is really behind these words. And we keep sticking with these words that we never really established the truth about. People had to take suit to define that they are free and not Negro, but Indians, free Indians. Free men are free Indians. But nobody wants to get down to the definition. This is the thing that the thing that doesn't make any sense. Don Cheadle, isn't he one of the people that they interviewed, and they told him that he was his with his high damn cheekbones and his features. They told that damn weirdo Skip Gates told him that he was a slave. His people were slaves of the Cherokee or whatever, the Creeks or whatever nation he's from. This is the thing. The Trail of Tears. You're going to take somebody from the hills of Georgia or wherever they are, or the deep part of Alabama, kick them off the land because get off. I'm a European and I'm taking your land. That's what they said I could have, and you got to go. That's what happened, right? So you got all this land to work, which you don't know how to work, probably, most likely, maybe, or you might have just been a slave on the land. Probably more than likely, you were a slave on the land. You might know a little bit about working it because you were a white slave. However, you gonna let these so-called now they make pretend like these Asiatic people was moved from Alabama to Oklahoma. They never was in Alabama. The Asiatic people that's in these recognized nations in Oklahoma just got there. And they are not indigenous to that land, nor are they indigenous to the tribe that they claim to come from. That's a bold-faced lie. The U.S. government deemed them Indians. The U.S. government illegally made them Indians. They were made Indian by law as a convenience to the oligarchy, because better that they have people that are not the real Indians be Indians than letting the indigenous people have their rights, land, privileges, and power. You got it? So, the other thing about freemen is, first of all, if you're free, why are you going with them? Aren't you free to do what you want? Hello? And how you a slave and be free too? Illogical. But the other really big thing about it is, if they said Don Cheadle's people were slaves and were transported to Oklahoma, you think they're gonna let do you think they're gonna let the Indians, so-called, transport their labor with them? Like their most valuable property is gonna be able to go cross country, and you that's boldly stealing their land, not gonna keep their slaves. Really? You taking their furniture, you kept their mule, but you're not gonna keep their slave? Come on now. They teach us things while we're babies, and it becomes part of our psyche, becomes part of our subconscious. we're indoctrinated with it. They teach us this nonsensical stuff while we're too young to analyze it or question it by people when we're little people and everybody's bigger than us, and so we think smarter than us. That's when they get us. That's why they wanted to integrate, because integration gives them the opportunity to have first licks at the mind of our children. You get control of the mind of the children, you could tell them whatever you want to tell them they are. That's just like when back in the day, your ancestors got into debt bondage because they wanted that spinning wheel so they could spin some wool and stuff, right? Spin some cotton or whatever they was doing, right? Make it into yarn and make things. And they wanted that new spinning wheel, and they couldn't afford it right then, but they really needed it, right? They was broke. And and so you went on and took a job to try to work off that spinning wheel. You made a contract that you would work a certain amount of time, right? But then maybe you got sick and you passed away, right? And you got kids, and that's it. What they tell the kids? Well, you got to work off for your mama, and then they tell the kids, well, no, you a forever slave. Your mama, contracted you for life. What you could tell a kid anything. That's how they created forever slaves. That's how they created chattel slavery, by legislating it and by deception. Right? If you're born of an unchristian mother, then you're a slave, right? Stuff like that. Laws like that. Those slave codes. So that's why it was so important that they got us thinking the way they want us to think, knowing the things they want us to know, believing the things they want us to believe. So it's really important that we undo this. And it's really important that the mothers know and the fathers, because when I talk about this word pray, and I'm not trying to, like necessarily demonize it, but what I'm saying is that we have to look at the words we're using and how it manifests and what it manifests in our life, and realize that the reason we don't have the word in our Algonquin, Accomack, Powhatan vocabulary is because we don't need to beg. We have the word thanks because it's already done. For us, it's already done. We don't have to beg. It's already done. That's the magic that we convey by examining these things. That's the way we unleash our magic, that magic that's inside of us that we don't know is there. And the fantastic part is it's happening at such a rapid rate for us. There's usefulness in many things. So what I want to say is, I love Carrie, and I know Carrie is very anti-religion. I'm not sure if he believes in God. I'm not really sure. But I do have to say that we're a faithful people. That's in our nature. We are spiritual. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. That's good. So, it's very important that we leave room for. You don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? You don't. There are some useful things that we need to hold on to. Maybe 99.9 of it's bad, but maybe there's 0.1% that's good. And we don't want to throw out something that is useful or good for us or to us, right? But manifesting that thanks is powerful. There's also a powerful thing about communicating with the higher power or your ancestors. And also being in touch with nature, because I did like a little mini live where I was outside today. And so, that's very useful too. Let me go ahead and show, because I think that there's, outside of the church, because I don't know how many of us have seen, or if we know, or we are those people. Church is showy and it's bullcrap. But seeing your Father, communicating with God, I think that's a powerful thing. I mean, seeing my dad on his and praying was, to me, a powerful thing to me. And he wasn't a perfect man. He wasn't, in no way was he perfect. Like he did some stuff. Like he was not a perfect man. But he was a man who tried. He was a man who tried his best to be his best. And I think that's what, to me, it represents. The supplication. I won't call it the supplication to your ancestors or to a higher power or the great spirit, or, however you want to see it, is a very, very powerful communion, right? And the example of that, of seeing your father, your mother, having that sort of relationship with spirit, with higher power, is I think it's a powerful gift to give to the next generation. Because for as much as people want to say, religion is this and that and blah, 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 and I get it, I got it. Organized religion is hell. It's horrible. It's horrible. But we have to understand that in it, there are gifts. And in it, there's value in some of the things that are sprinkled within these institutions that are bad. You know what I mean? Or organized religion is the worst. But like I said, there are some remnants of good within the bad. And it's our job to kind of to use our discernment, right? And to figure that out, because it's important. It's important that we don't lose the things that may be helpful. Like, you know what I mean? Don't lose out on the things that are going to, benefit you. Even, because sometimes you'll miss out because you just are like, and you're just over it. You're like, this is terrible. It's terrible. But then you let go of things that are good, that are actually good. And we shouldn't let go of things that are good because we found that whole organized religion thing to be terrible, right? That's the thing. I mean, we have to use our discernment. Psalm 23 says, and I'm going to read it in the King James Version, a prayer for deliverance and guidance from God in a time of trouble and oppression. Psalm 43 says, judge me, God, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. That's appropriate for this time. Oh, deliver me from deceitful and unjust men. Oh, send out thy light and thy truth. I'm sorry, I missed this. I missed the verse, second verse. For thou art God of my strength. Why dost God cast me off? Why go I mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? Oh, send out thy light and thy truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me unto thy holy hill and to thy tabernacles. And then I will go to the altar of God unto God, my exceeding joy. Yea, upon the harp I will praise thee, O my God. Why art thou cast down, my soul? And why art thou disquieted within me? Hope in me, God, for I shall yet praise him who is the health of my countenance and my God. It's an ungodly nation. It's an evil, demonic nation. So, is there power in the Psalms? Is there power in words? Well, that's an individual thing, I feel. But I feel like this is a spiritual wartime. And I feel like, and I don't know why this is what I woke up feeling I needed to do. But I feel like we're in a war of words and we don't know it. And we need to be equipped for this battle. Because it's not going, their swords are in the stone. They can't use their swords. They can't use their weapons. The words are used to deceive and to make us consent to things that we should not consent to, believe things that we should not believe. That is the war we're in. So I'm trying to send out an alarm basically to say, be on your words. Consult one another. Don't fall for the trickery. Do not consent. And as I always say, when you don't make a decision, when you decide to do nothing, you decide to consent. You're never not you're never not doing something, right? So if you say, well, I ain't gonna do nothing. Well, that's actually making a decision. So That's right, Brittany. That's right, cuz. See, within, and there, yeah, of course, there's a lot of horrible things that happen in the Bible. There's a lot of bad things that happen in the Bible. There's a lot of just whatever. But there are seeds of magic in the Bible, I feel. There are things that are for your edification, to build you up, to build you up. There are mantras. For we wrestle, like Ephesians 6:22, Brittany said, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness in this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Isn't that what we're battling? Isn't that real? Isn't that today? Well, we really, like I said, we are work. We are all, in process, right? We're not perfect. But like my dad and my mom and my big mama and my big daddy and my grandma and my granddaddy, we strive, right? We make an effort to be our best selves. However that might be, centering yourself with meditation, centering yourself with manifestation, supplication, thanks. Meditating on that thanks, that thankfulness. Kina. Feeling that thanks. That's a powerful thing. Using the words. Thanks. Kina. It is definitely a spiritual fight. A fight that they're not equipped for. But guess what? We are uniquely equipped for it. It's good that we've broken away from organized religion, because all that was is to put us away from our spirituality. Now it's time to begin fine-tuning that spirituality. Hearkening back to what our ancestors did. Because I had a conversation with a young man the other day, and it was a political conversation, kind of heavy. He was into socialism, and I discussed my trip to Cuba and what I saw. And the more I meditated on it, and I did talk to him about it, these governments are evil. There is no magic government that exists today. They don't want to help people. These governments don't exist to actually make people's lives better. They exist to make the people in that run the government better. That's the problem. So, what was it like when we were here running America? Well, if you read, I think it's Walden Milton's book of Sir Walter Raleigh, Milton Walden, we had a sense of ethics that was insane. We had such justice. We, even when we were guilty, even if we murdered somebody, we were like, okay, yeah, I murdered your brother. Hey, I got it. You're going to have to kill me. We didn't even need jail. We didn't need to tie people up. People took their punishment. We were honorable people. Let me say this a different way. We are honorable people. We have a high sense of ethics. We are honorable people. We just have to love that back into each other. It's inside of us. You know it is. You know it because you see it because you know you, right? The people in the chat, you know you. Honorable, ethical, caring, fair, you know. We just have to, create back our society where we care for those and we train those up that are not towing the line, and they get punished accordingly if they don't. Like, we believe in being disciplinarians. They took that away from us. So things have gone way amok from the way our culture is. But we're going to have to get our mindsets back into that, because what I truly feel is that this planet is about to change drastically and rapidly, whether these oligarchs like it or not, because we are waking up at a very, very, very rapid rate. And it's when people start to really get it together as to what's been done and what's being done to us, it's not going to be a pretty sight. There's going to be some angry people. Not as, like I said, not in a violent way, but they're going to have to pay. They're going to have some splaining and some making up to do. But if you add wealth and opportunity to people that don't have their ethics and don't have their morals and don't have their spirituality together, it is going to be a disaster. So those of us who can, we must work on being the best guideposts we can be, because our people are going to need guideposts. They're going to need spiritual guideposts. And I think that's why I'm having this live. Of course, I'm not quite sure, because it's really not coming from me. But I think that's what I'm supposed to be relaying to you, is that you all have powers that you need to recognize. And you all need to be focusing on thanks and abundance. And you don't ever have to beg, because that's not even in our vocabulary. And we don't have to pray, because we don't have to beg. So we need to manifest, and we need to exude thanks at all times. We need to be thankful for everything, and thankful for pain, thankful for being sick. I was sick after my dental appointment the other day, and let me tell you, when you do feel sick, you really appreciate being well. Like, the anesthesia got to me. It's weird. Anyway, but yeah, so being thankful, being people that feel the abundance, don't dread, don't fear, don't see. That's what they want. They want to control our energy, and they want our energy to be full of fear, dread, apprehension, just everything that is negative that they live off of. But if we give them nothing they can live off of, we're going to starve these demons out. You hear me? We're going to starve them out. Wengapo. Because they have to have our dread and our fear. You know, all these TikToks, people talking about EBT, honey, they're the main ones on these cards. Stop. We don't have to worry about our thing. We always survive. Not don't we survive, we thrive. We don't have to fear anything. Global warming, droughts, whatever, we gonna be all right. Because we're gonna pay attention to the animals and the earth. And we're gonna take care of each other. Not that I wouldn't get myself a life straw to drink so you could drink whatever water is available if it comes, push comes to shove. Or get yourself an old-fashioned water purifier. But, and also go on Amazon or to one of these big stores or farmer's market, even better. Get yourself a big old bag of beans and a big old bag of rice. Basic stuff. You got beans and rice, you good. Beans, white rice, and the ability to clean some water, you good. We could make it through anything. And then watch the animals because they eating. They eating every day. There's stuff to eat all around your yard. If we don't mow down all the good stuff to eat, we got plenty to eat. Hey, brother from Richmond. Yeah. But it's definitely time to start manifesting the abundance and being careful about our words, realizing we don't have to beg. We already got this. We don't have to fear. We good. This is our time to win. That's all we doing is winning. We're not doing anything else but winning. That's our purpose right now. You see, they're the ones with that sword that's stuck. And it ain't coming out because it ain't them. It ain't for them to have. So they got all these weapons. Can't do a doggone thing with them. Isn't that something? We don't have a word for beg. We don't have a word for pray. We have a word for thanks. We have a word for God, a home. Kina. Kina, a home. And we have a word for farewell. Farewell. See you later. See you again soon. Ana. So I say to y'all, it's a very, very magical time. It's a good time to be an Indian. It's a good time. Yeah, we use a lot of words in our names that are from our language. Oh, look at us, a Mac up there. Look at that. One of the Acamac Macs. All right, so y'all, I may be on again soon. I'm not sure. Depends on what the ancestors tell me to do. But right now, I want to say Ana and thank you. Kina.